Hey guys, it is a beautiful bee day today. So we're going to go ahead and come outside and do our first hive inspection of 2024. Um, and then we are also on TikTok now. So I'm going to try to be posting some videos there. Hopefully, if we can get up to 1,000 subscribers, we will be able to do TikTok live videos. My smoker here. Filling up my smoker with some pine needles. I haven't used this electric lighter on this before. I always use matches, but if it works, I'm just thinking about it. I have to get it in a couple places. Hey, there we go. So I've got everything I need. I've got my bee go bag, gallon of sugar water, and my smoker's going. I've got room for everything except for you, so I'll be back. One of the things I've got out here this year is we've got some dry pollen supplement for the bees to come and feed on. And you'll notice there's none in there. I've got the twigs in there because yesterday they were kind of just getting completely coated in it when they were rolling around. Couldn't really, they were so heavy they couldn't get off the ground. So I got those twigs in there so they can clean themselves off and fly out. But they're not in it at all today. That's because some other plant is flowering. And if you look at these bees that are coming back, the yellow they've got all over them, that's pollen that they found from other sources. So they're not interested in the pollen supplement at all because it's not actually pollen. It just has some proteins in them for if there's not enough pollen out there, but they completely ignore it if they've got enough pollen from other sources, which they do. The same here on my second hive. You'll notice that over winter, that bottom deep split a little bit, and so they've found a secondary entrance there, and actually it split on the back over on that side too. But same way, they've got plenty of pollen that they found from other sources, so they are perfectly content. Just bring it back. They're completely ignoring the supplement, which is good. You know, if there's enough in nature, we want them to use what nature's providing. If you've been keeping up with us, you know we've got two hives here. Our first hive, we had one last year, and the queen, who we had named Queen Beopatra, she left. She swarmed, but in her stead, she laid two new queens, and so we split them apart into two different hives. And so now in here, we've got Queen Elizabeth the first and Queen Beopatra the second in this one. So both of them are daughters of Queen Beopatra the first. In this hive over here, we had to move both these hives from our other house, and this one was an easy move. We just taped up the front and left. So when I came, we taped up both of them that same day, just the front entrance of them. And when I came out, there were bees everywhere. This one was fine; it was ready to go, but the bees had found alternate openings to get in and out of this one over here. So we had to wait for them a second day. And so it was warm enough the day that I moved this one that I could go ahead and get some sugar water on to start feeding them. Plus, this one's my smaller of the two hives that I've got. So I really wanted to make sure that they got enough nutrients, and it's just been a week. They've already drank all of the sugar water that I had here for them. That's okay. I've got a whole other gallon. So they're drinking a gallon of sugar water a week. And that's a good nectar substitute. Again, it's early in the year, so there's not quite a lot out for the bees to forage. That's why we want to make sure we've got additional pollen supplement for them. But also, the sugar water acts as a good nectar supplement when there's not quite as much going around for them to grab. Now, as soon as we're ready to start harvesting honey, we stop feeding them that sugar water substitute because we don't want honey that's made with sugar water. We want honey that's made with nectar, and that's what the bees want as well. There we go. A few of those lovely ladies. Handful of ants, but they're not a big deal yet this time of year. I'm just going to put them here, kind of out front, and actually, see, I might be able to just shake these girls in. Yeah, that's good. I wanted some additional flying insects near my face, so that did it for me. They do a good job about sealing these shut. Use my handy dandy hive tool to get in between the wood here, so we can pop this top off. I want the bees to get familiar with me. Again this year, so I'm wearing my big thick bee gloves instead of going barehanded or even just using the latex gloves. So I want them to remember me. Golly, that's on there good. Remember me and get used to me opening up the hives before I put myself in a position to get stung. Although you could say I'm putting myself in a position to get stung by owning bees. Now, based on who's been coming in and out of the hives, this one I think is my smaller hive. But they're looking very well populated. I'm just going to go ahead and try to get them back in the hive off the inner cover here. Cleared away. I got a couple of dead bees I'll scrape off. So we'll use just a little bit of smoke to get them to go down in a little bit. So we've got good comb built across all of them, which I think they might have had comb built everywhere going into winter already. But last year the focus was one, getting bees and then keeping them alive. This year the focus is on producing honey. That's the goal this year. So we're not planning on doing any splits. We'll see what happens. We're not planning on even going out and looking for any swarms. All right, good. So they've already got some nectar stored up in here. Our plan really is just to make sure that these guys are being good and taken care of, that they've got enough resources to make some honey, and that there's enough honey for us to take some home as well. I'm going to shake these off here. This is really the first warm day of the year that we've been able to come in to try to collect, to just do an inspection. It's really just been too cold. So that's one of the things you've got to watch out against when you're keeping bees, is making sure that the weather's right. Because if you pull the bees out and it's too out, you'll wind up killing the brood. You really, really don't want to do that. That's the baby bees. And so what we're looking at right now is we want to see if the queen is where she's laying. Because these bees have successfully made it through winter. And so they, as a macroorganism, are going to want to reproduce by swarming. They're going to want to go on and, make a whole second bee colony elsewhere, lay a new queen. Um, so we wanted to see where the queen is laying brood, or she's laying her eggs and her young. If it's mostly in this top box, then we can buy ourselves a little bit of time by switching the boxes around. I also want to see if I can find the queen, because I know I've got one marked and the other one not. So they've got honey stores still. That's what this area is over here. That's honey stores. They're storing up pollen and making bee bread. Bee bread is what they use to make royal jelly, which they feed to the young. And then also that's the queen bee's exclusive diet. And so what I'm looking for here is eggs mostly. If I can see eggs, that shows me that the queen is alive and laying. There wouldn't really be a good reason that she wouldn't be alive um, unless she died in travel, which isn't super likely. Um, but that shows me that the queen's here. She's laying, and I'd like to mark her because I marked one queen, and it just helps you remember how old they are, let you know when you might need to get a new queen. But it also helps you find them easier. I'm looking at more bee bread. Got some empty cells. Ooh, got some larvae and some eggs on here. So she could be on here. She's usually towards the middle of the colony. So we got brood. They're laying some drones up on here. Oh man, lots of capped brood. That's awesome. Everything you see there, that's capped over brood. That's all babies. They do have some crazy comb going over here. I'm gonna go ahead and just put that down. They've got some eggs in it. No larvae. I'm just gonna go ahead, tear this off. Ooh, one larva. Just so they rebuild it. We want everything to be flat. When they start to break off that way, it starts to connect the frames together, and it just makes the inspection a lot harder. But they'll build this out. They will. Here's where the main cluster of the hive looks like it is. Looks like a lot of freshly emerged brood on here. I do see some eggs as well. This frame is a good candidate for where the queen might be. I have not seen any queen cells, which is good. They're not quite ready to swarm yet, which is nice. Just had to look back over at the camera. I couldn't remember if I hit record or not. That'd be embarrassing. It's also a crapshoot every time, based on whether or not my earpiece is actually going to work as a microphone or if it's going off of the phone's mic. More eggs and very, very young larvae. I'm not seeing the queen on this frame. But because I see eggs, I know she's here. So that's one of the things you want to check. I'm also not seeing any small hive beetles, which is they're just really, really good. They're a big problem in Tennessee, but I haven't seen any of them. All right, again, they've got some wacky comb up here that needs to be gotten rid of. Oh, there's the queen. This is my unmarked queen, and she was absolutely on this frame just a minute ago. I see all the eggs. She may have fallen into the bottom of the box. It is a needle in a haystack. Got her. All right, so I caught her. I've got a couple other bees in here as well. But you can see she's that really, really long one. She's got that really long thorax. All right, so now I'm going to get my marking kit. The other bees can leave. They can get through the sides of this cage, but the queen, her thorax is too big. She can't get out. So I've got one more in here. I'm waiting for him to figure out that he can leave. Oh, the queen. She's not supposed to be able to get out, but she sure did. Dag nabbit. At least y'all got to see it. Well, she could be anywhere at this point in time. Queen's in there and healthy. Going to go back to what I was doing, which was figuring out where we're at in the brood. All right, so here's the frame I was on. Put my queen stuff away. And this is just kind of hanging off. So we're going to peel it the rest of the way off so they can put everything back in line the way I want it to be. Same with this whole setup right here. And this stuff's just built out a little bit far, but it's not actually an issue. If you don't fix that stuff now, it's just always going to be an issue. Oh, that's a good one. Good frame of brood. No crazy comb. That's good. You know what? And actually, now that I'm looking at it, this one's out so far that it's stopping them from being able to pull out on the other side. And this was honey. See, that's good. Good and sticky. So they'll clean that up. They're already cleaning it up. They're loving it. Um, but just how they built it out, it was keeping them from being able to be as productive as they could be on this frame. See, they've got this hole over here. More brood. So in the winter, the bees cluster together and they move up and down in the hive. So they kind of start off on the bottom during early winter with their honey stores above them, and as they need more food, they just slowly rise in the hive, and the queen will lay eggs up there. Well, they can kind of get up into the hive and then start thinking they're running out of space. So if all the brood that they've got is just up in this top box, then we're going to flip it. So we'll put the top box on the bottom and the bottom box on the top so that they've got room to continue to put stores up. Mostly just blowing ash on them. I'll let my smoker go out, which, I mean, honestly, they've been pretty calm. They're starting to not be, but this box, I believe they've got all the way drunk. Yeah, if you'll look, that's all beautiful bee bread of all different shades and colors. It's really pretty to look at, honestly. Here, let me bring it to you. Just all different kinds of shades and colors. They're working hard on it. But no eggs. You notice no eggs, no larvae. So they've got everything up in the top box, it looks like. Oh, keep going through this. Oop. So sudden movements spook them sometimes. I think that happened just now. So a whole bunch of them just started dive bombing my face. We also want to look on the bottom of each frame because that's where they'd most likely be building queen cells, which it looks like they're not doing. Ooh, man, darker colors. That's pretty. It's really, really pretty. So right now, this is where they're packing all the resources that they're gathering. They're putting it in the bottom. So we're just going to kind of switch it around and give them space up top to put everything. Beautiful tapestry of colors. Beautiful. Just looking for any eggs. It looks like there's none. And again, because I lost the queen, she could have fallen all the way down this way. She could be on any one of these frames, so I do want to be careful. Still want to look for her. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I spent as much time as I did. Oh, there is some larva down here. Just a little bit. So this would be at the very bottom of the middle. I think I'm probably still okay to go ahead and move this up. Few eggs. Because it's every day this week supposed to get up to at least 60. There's some brood on here. Some cat brood. They'll be coming out soon. I think they'll be all right. Like 90% of the brood looks like it's in the upper box. Basically everything else on here is mostly empty. They're just now starting to fill it, so we'll move those up so they think they've got plenty of room, which they do. They do have plenty of room. We want them to know that they've got plenty of room to hang out for a while. They don't have to rush off. Yep. We're at this point we're out of the area that they're laying in. And again, I hadn't seen a single small hive beetle. It's just really fortunate. Ooh, this has been on here for over a year. A little hive frame hanger. It's not quite consistently warm enough that I want to take that out. Got to go ahead and bee brush everybody. A handful of bees just stinging to sting. I did squish a couple of them, but the hive itself will be okay. So this was the top. Now it's the bottom. Take what was the bottom. Put it on top. So they see they've got plenty of room. I do see a couple places on here that it's starting to split because some of these just didn't have time to get painted. But they're good. Pest management seems relatively under control. That should hold them off for swarming for a little bit. I am hoping this hive gets a little bit bigger. I'm going to continue to feed them sugar water. I want to remember where I put it before. Oh, it's out front. I'll make sure I've got everything on standby so I can basically close up in one fell swoop. Sometimes when I close up, they immediately start coming through that top hole. And then I can't get the sugar water on without squishing them. This is 1-to-1 sugar water, approximately 1 part sugar, 1 part water with a splash of apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar just makes sure that mold doesn't creep into the box. Yeah, they're consuming a gallon of this stuff a week right now. So I want to let them. All right, so Hive 1, Queen Elizabeth the first, she's good to go. Now it's time for Queen Beopatra the second. Let's go ahead and get her put on through. See how she's doing. You'll probably notice the coming and going has slowed down pretty significantly since we started. It's because we're getting towards the end of the day. A lot of bees are made their last trek, if you will. So they're coming home. And so it's just a lot more bees in the hive, which is fine, but not always ideal. There's more bees to deal with. More bees to makes it harder to spot the queen with. Now this queen is marked. Maybe I'll find her, but I'm not quite as worried about finding her. Now on this one, as soon as I open it, I'll be at the inner cover because there's no sugar water feeder on it. I'm also going to go ahead and take the duct tape that I put on here to seal it for travel. I'll go ahead and take it off if we're going to have to split it anyway. But this hive's basically getting the same treatment. We want to know if their population size is good enough that they can start making honey. The other one I want to build up a little bit more. It looks like it's good and healthy, but I want to build them up a little bit. They've got quite a bit of undrawn frames in there. I'd like to see them fixed first. But also, let me finish the sentence. They got quite a few undrawn frames, but also I'd like to see their population get a little bit more. These guys are just booming. Absolutely booming. Okay. I am just going to wipe everybody into the hive here in just a moment. A few on the top, even more on the bottom, and it's just absolutely packed full of bees right here. They're so calm too. Right, everybody back home. A few of them don't like that idea and are trying to dive bomb my face. We want everybody home. Maybe more than a few of them that didn't like that idea. Same thing with the top cover. Give everybody the option to go home. But this is mostly just so that we've got a place to put the two deep boxes once we get them cracked open here. Remaining calm and moving slow are two really important aspects of beekeeping. So again, same with this hive as the other hive. What we want to do is make sure everybody's healthy. Oh man, this one's even less built up than the other. I've got absolutely nothing on here. So everything's going to be in the bottom box on this one. And they're going to desperately need wow. They're just, this one has more bees in it, and it looks like they've got less comb. I don't know why I put that back in there. Really don't know why I let it drop back in there. But they are working. They're definitely working on trying to build it out. No, that's fine. I'll let them just hang right here and migrate back in later. I gave them two deeps this winter, and I really probably should have just given them one. I'm actually kind of surprised they made it through winter. It was maybe a little bit reckless on my part, but honestly, they're doing good. These frames feel stuck. I think they've cross-combed it. Yeah, they sure have. Oh, man. This is going to be messy coming up. So they've done some work here, but basically everything they've done, I need to undo. They're building their frames out horizontally. It's not helpful to me. Makes everything just take longer, be harder overall. It's like that. They get to keep what's in the middle. They get to keep most of what's on here. And this sucks too because I see eggs on here. The queen has moved up and it started laying up in here. It's unfortunate, but you can't keep it. Bees will be okay. They'll move back in. We just can't have them building comb inefficiently because this is going to be the frames that are used for several generations of bees after this. This is what they cross-combed from one set of frames to the next. There's a lot of bees very, very unhappy with me right now. And they're cross-combed on this one too. I should not have let them go through winter like this. Alright, quite a bit of brood here. That's good. So some of this we can actually melt down. We did last year some of the excess stuff, and we made some chapsticks out of it, which is good. I think we'll try to give this, because this is quite a bit to take. I think we'll try to take this, melt it down, and then use it as application for the frames, because you can. I'm like having to take half of each frame from what they've done. But you can melt it and then basically paint wax onto each frame. And that just makes it so that they can draw it out a little bit easier in the future. So I think for a lot of this, we're going to try to give it back to them. It's theirs to begin with. We just need to have them put it in the right spot so it's beneficial to us. and it's beneficial to them too. We're helping them survive. Yeah, none of it can stay. It's not even like well, let them have it for a little while, because they're just going to continue to build in that direction. So yeah, lots of larvae up here. So I thought it was going to be mostly larvae up underneath, but there's lots and lots of brood up here. Oh yeah, they're fuming. All right, good brood cluster. We're gonna try to make this go pretty quick. I need y'all to know, I think this is the angriest I've ever seen them. Like they are livid. Oh, we got more cross comb, so it's not gonna be easier here. I'm actually really starting to wish I had a full suit on. This is getting a little bit extreme for me. They're all over my veil. I don't know if y'all can see that. A little bit of cross comb here. I'll clean that up just fine. Trying to adjust my glasses without pushing bees onto my face and letting them sting me through the mesh. Oh man, I'll tell you. Now, as we do this more often, they will get less aggressive. Yeah, more cross comb, right? They'll get less aggressive the more we do this. Man, this whole piece has to come off. Like it's so. I'm gonna bring them closer to you so you can see. One, I want you to see my veil, how many I've got all over me. But two, like this whole piece has been built out. It needs to be built into it like this is, but it's built out, so this whole piece has to go. And this is, I want y'all to know, I'm very proud of my bees for building this. This is a lot of effort they put into building this. It's just not in the right spot. But they're going to need some sugar water. I really thought, oh, that one got me. Wow, through the glove he got me. Man. Oh, all right, taking a walk. All right, they did get me. They're back to being all over me. Golly. I'm leaving to get them off of me. When I come back, I'm sealing it up.